for quite some time. I have to tell y'all, I love having the experts on these discussions, but what I love more than anything are real life stories. It's one thing to sort of go through a checklist or the 10 things that you should do if you are going through rehab, but it's another thing hearing from somebody that's gone through it and hearing their story and riffing with them on what they did and what they were feeling and how this might be able to help other folks. And I am just delighted to introduce you today to Al Lamb, who I forget how Al and I met. I think he got a copy of Sourcebook and he sent me an email. But Al, if you want to join us on the stage there, we'll kind of refresh our memories. Am I correct? You got
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, Steve. I was just browsing aging support and various types of aging things to help seniors, because that's one of my goals too, to try to help others overcome some of the problems I've had in my life. And I stumbled upon your positive aging, reached out to you, and I want to thank you for the support you've given me from then until now. Every day that I've known you, every day that we've been friends.
Oh man, well, Al, I have to tell you, I've learned a lot from you, and you're definitely an inspiration. And I remember we had that first talk, and I was sort of like, oh man, I want to get you on one of these discussions, because we need to introduce you to as many people as possible, especially since you want to help other people. But normally, when I have an expert on one of these discussions, it's like, okay, hey, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we get into the talk. But yeah, folks, today, the discussion is Al's going to tell his story, and we're going to kind of walk through that journey. And if you have questions at any point in time, just jump in. I know I've already got questions for Al in my mind, but let's kick this off. And before we talk about your healthcare challenges and things like that, tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and do you have kids and your jobs that you've done, and then we'll kind of get into where you sort of entered this world of healthcare and elder care. So yeah, tell us a little bit about.
I'm looking forward to doing that, Steve, because I've had an interesting journey. And I like to start with the family. Excuse me. I'm a dad and a granddad. I have 3 loving, wonderful daughters. The oldest is Sonia. She's in Atlanta with her husband, Sonia Lamb Comer. And my middle daughter is Dewana Lamb Morrison. She's in Houston. She and her husband used to have a cattle farm. They recently sold all the cattle, so they're not doing that anymore. But they're very adventurous, and they go from one project to another. And my youngest daughter is Tracy Vedette. She's in San Diego. She's into all kinds of cyber stuff and cybersecurity primarily, ex-veteran. So she's the kind of person that if she tells you what she does, she'd have to shoot you.
I love it. Well, one of the things for context, because now we have people from all over the world that attend these or watch these discussions, and you are in the Washington, D.C. area. We're going to talk about a move that you made, but that's pretty typical of a lot of folks. Is where our families are all over the world now.
Right.
You've got you've got your family, but you're here in the DC market, and they are all over the place. So
all over.
When tell us a little bit about your career and like hobbies and things that you've done over the years.
Will do. But I'd first like to talk about my adopted family.
Oh,
I didn't I didn't mention my grandson. He's in Tucson. So everyone that's dear and close to me is far, far away. But I fortunately have my adopted family who have been there for me through all of my challenges. As I say, carrying the cross, my knee surgery, I had right knee replacement. About 3 years ago, about 10 years ago, I had severe back problems that was pretty disabling. And my beloved friend and her daughter, who's a daughter to me, that's Alice, and her daughter Lisa. They've been there for me, and whenever I need them, they come, and I try to be there for them. We as seniors, we need an adoptive family. We need a support group. We need those. Sometimes the one who is closest to us biologically are not near enough to provide the help and support that we need as seniors.
Yeah.
Well, I'll pop right in and tell you a little bit about my childhood and my background. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, to two very loving and disciplinarian parents. That was very much a part of my childhood. And their parents, both grandparents on both sides, were also disciplinarians. And I had the misfortune or good fortune to go to a Catholic school that also required discipline. So I learned at a very early age to do what I was told, to do what I was asked. And I think I owe that, a lot of my self-discipline today, I think I owe to that background. My first school, my elementary school and junior high was a Catholic high school, Catholic junior high school and elementary school, Vanderbilt in Richmond, Virginia. I then graduated from Vanderbilt to attend a public school. My high school years, the last 2 years of school for me, was Armstrong High in Richmond, Virginia. As a child, I loved sports, like most boys and girls. My favorite sport was swimming. I learned to swim before I started school. I think I was 4.5, between 4 and 5. And I love it till even today. I swim every other day. I swim up between a quarter of a mile and a half a mile. Also running. Running was a love of mine as a child. I liked race running, and I wasn't always the fastest kid, but I was second or third. I was always in the lead. In addition, I played basketball. I didn't have the height, but I had a good eye, and I could find the basket. So often I was chosen to be on the side of the guys that wanted to win. What else? Well, after I finished junior high and high school, I joined the Navy. And while in the Navy, I served on 3 ships. The first was the USS Robinson, a destroyer escort out of Charleston, South Carolina. The second was the USS San Marcos, a LSD landing ship dock out of actually Puerto Rico. And that was a great joy. I got a chance to do a lot of swimming and scuba diving and enjoying the water sports that I enjoyed. And the third ship was an aircraft carrier, the USS Kitty Hawk, CVA 63. Boy, that was a joy to be on a ship that size. It was too large to go through the Panama Canal. So when we had to take it from the East Coast to the West, we had to go down to Cape Horn and come around the other side. And that gave me the opportunity to cross the equator twice. And in the Navy, that makes you a golden shellback, for what that's worth.
I'd never heard that before.
Let's see, where else can we go?
Okay, so then, and I think fast forward.
Okay,
you had a pretty interesting career in telecommunications.
Yes, let me talk about that. My first company after coming out of the military was AT&T. And that's where I got my chops. I learned the telecommunication trade, and I was with them for 13 years. I left AT&T at some point to join Satellite Business Systems, SBS. My curiosity about satellite telecommunications was overwhelming, and I just had to find out more about how they did that.
Well, I'll tell you, Al, one thing that I can tell for sure, just in this brief overview, is you've got curiosity for life. Is that, and you look at things from a positive perspective. I've talked to people that served on ships, and it wasn't a joyous experience. It's like, when can I get out of here? And I think attitude is everything. I really do.
I would agree with you. I've been blessed. I've not had that problem. I've always been excited about new opportunities and engaging in new things.
Yeah.
After SBS incidentally was partially owned by IBM. And at one time I left SBS to go to IBM proper, worked with IBM. IBM did a joint venture with Siemens. And that led to me eventually having the option to choose to stay with IBM or to go with Siemens. And Siemens made me a great offer, so I went with Siemens. And I later retired from Siemens and started my own consulting business, Al Lamb and Associates. And I ran that company for 23 years.
Wow.
And had great customers, including the federal government.
Excellent. All right. This gives us a really good overview there of who you are. And we may reflect back on some of that, but now let's kind of fast forward to, I believe you were living in Alexandria, Virginia, in the Kingstown area, and in a townhouse, correct?
Correct. 3 levels.
Yeah, like all of these DC area, we have very few homes that have a first floor or master bedroom, and we're going to get to that. But
yes.
But tell us a little bit about the healthcare changes that occurred that kind of led you down this road of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
More than happy to share that with you. I was 68 years old at the time. It was 2010. We had this huge snowstorm, if you recall, Snowmageddon, it was nicknamed. And it dumped about 3 feet of snow in our neighborhood, and I think pretty much across the Mid-Atlantic. And the day after the snowstorm, I helped my neighbors. I joined the neighbors, as we normally did as a group. We would shovel snow for the entire cul-de-sac. We would shovel everybody's driveway. And I did that for an hour and a half and really enjoyed it, felt great about it. And went home and had a hot cup of coffee and went to bed. The next day, I was encouraged. I looked at my deck out back, and there was 3 feet of snow on it, and I was concerned about the damage the weight of the snow may do to the deck. So I decided to shovel the snow off the deck. I did again shovel snow for about an hour and a half, and the third day, I could barely stand up straight. And I had muscle spasms and muscle cramps and pain in the back. And I thought the solution would be just to back off, take it easy, give yourself a couple of days, and then go back to your normal routine. Unfortunately, that was not the case. It got worse as time went on. And it got to a point where it was so debilitating that I could barely hold a cup of coffee. I couldn't prepare food at the kitchen sink longer than 15 minutes. I couldn't sit at my kitchen table at my laptop longer than 15 minutes. And this went on for 9 months. I had day meds and night meds. I had day pain medication and muscle relaxant. I had night pain medication and muscle relaxants. And it was concerning for me and concerning for the family. After about 9 months and 6 doctors later, I got a brochure in the mail from Nova Mount Vernon, one of our healthcare chains in the Northern Virginia area. And in that brochure was a class, strength training for seniors. And I asked my then doctor, when I get better, I'd like to take this class. He said, no, don't wait. Sign up immediately. That's part of your problem. You need to strengthen your back. I was a little surprised at that because I'm wondering, when were you going to tell me I need to strengthen my back? But in any case, the next day I reached out to the trainer. Her name was Christine Moore. I always considered Chris as the lady who gave me my life back. And she invited me to join them. I went and watched what they were doing. There were 15 ladies and 1 gentleman, and I could clearly see I could not do what they were doing. They were lifting 3, 4, 5 pound, 8 pound dumbbells, and I could barely hold a cup of coffee. So I said, Chris, I think I might consider coming back when I'm better. She said, no, you told me your doctor suggested that you start now. She said, I'll tell you what I would do. I'll start you with 2 pound dumbbells seated. I said, okay. She said, what did you like doing most before you injured your back? I said, well, I would swim 2 or 3 times a week, half a mile at the Lee District pool. She said, give me 2 weeks. I'll have you back in the pool. That was quite an incentive. After having gone 9 months, barely able to get up and down stairs more than once a day. So sure enough, I trained with Chris. The first week, the pain subsided. The second week, the pain was gone. The third week, I met with Chris at the pool, and she had me swim across 25 yards and took a breath, 30 seconds, and swim back. She said, okay, you can swim. She said, I'll tell you what, do this twice a week, either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. Swim 2 laps, get out of the pool. And every 2 weeks, add a lap. In about 3 to 4 months, I got back to a quarter of a mile. Exercise for me has been a healing process more than one time, many times. Let's see, where should I go from there?
Well, I want to let me jump back before I forget.
Absolutely.
So you'd mentioned when this happened, did you say you were, how old you were?
68.
68. So
yes.
You qualified for Medicare.
Yes.
Were you on a Medicare health plan or?
I was.
Okay. And which one, just out of curiosity?
Actually, I've been with Kaiser Permanente more than 30 years.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
And then okay, so Medicare and then
it was Medicare Plus was their plan. And so
okay.
I had Medicare, and they filled in the donut hole that Medicare didn't provide.
Excellent. Okay, so you basically go through. Oh, now, and during that 9-month period, did you ever need, like, the way you described it, like, how were you getting around your house and getting to these appointments and stuff? Could you were able to drive, just not exercise, or how?
I was able to drive. Unfortunately, I was only no more than 2 or 3 miles. Living in Kingstown, the nearest Kaiser facility was Springfield, and it was only a couple of miles from me. So I didn't have that far to drive, and I was able to basically drive myself. But I had the support of Alice and Lisa whenever I needed it, and that played a big part in my recovery.
Yeah, because I can imagine living in the townhouse with that kind of mobility issue.
Yes.
You probably, especially in the beginning of that 9-month period, you needed some help.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Alice made the decision to move me to my basement, and we bought the inflated bed and a microwave and basically another apartment in the basement for me. And fortunately, I was able to meet Chris Moore and started recovering, and did not have to fully use that. But we were prepared for the worst.
Well, and this is one thing that a lot of folks are dealing with is that you have this unexpected injury, and because most of our living spaces are on the top or middle floor, it's sort of like you got to get up and down those stairs, and it just doesn't work. And so, like, you're lucky that you had that basement, quote unquote, apartment. A lot of people have the hospital bed in their living room or dining room, and so this is good news. Now,
Steve, that experience was the worst thing to happen to me, but it was also the best thing to happen to me, because it did 2 things. It made me aware that as I recovered, the importance of exercising and living a healthy lifestyle, but it also made me aware that I needed to move while I was well enough to move to a senior environment where, when I became less able, that I would be in a facility, a neighborhood where I would have the support that I need to live a senior lifestyle.
I love it. And we're going to jump to that here in a moment.
Okay.
But before we do, I've built this up as mall walking helped change my life. So when did when and who introduced you going to the mall and doing the mall walking? When was that introduced to your plan?
That was right at the time that I got engaged with Chris Moore. At the same time, almost the same week that Chris and I started training, that 2-week period that got rid of the back pain, my therapist at Kaiser told me, Mr. Lamb, to help strengthen your back, I'd like you to go to the mall, walk 5 minutes, rest 3 minutes, do that 3 times. Do it same back to the Monday and Wednesday and Tuesday and Thursday. Do it either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. Do that for 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks, add another minute.
Wow.
And I got up to 15 minutes, and I was charged after that. I said, wow, if I can do 15 minutes, I can do a half an hour. So I got to a half an hour, and I said, well, if I can do a half an hour, I can do an hour. And I ended up doing an hour. And that eventually led, that was 2010, that eventually led to me joining and participating in the Senior Olympics in 2012.
Wow. I love this story. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to spotlight you and the mall walking aspect of your recovery is that we hear a lot about shopping malls in the news now and how
Yes.
they're ghost towns and people don't use shopping malls and things like that. And I think we've got a wonderful resource out there, folks. And Al, you're a great spokesperson for it. Is that especially like here in the Washington, D.C. area, it's going to be 100 degrees this week.
Yes.
What better place to get out and get some exercise than go to your local shopping mall and get some laps in? And also, you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as opposed to going to the local high school track where you might be the only one walking around it,
yes,
you're around other people.
It's safe.
Yeah, with social isolation.
Yes, and you meet other people. And incidentally, yesterday was I walk every day. I did 2.5 miles yesterday, and people, you know, they seem to expect to see me in the mall walking. If they don't see me, where have you been?
Oh, I love it. Okay. Now, okay, you opened the door about Senior Olympics, and I'm excited about this. And so you basically went from not being able to do anything to now, you know, you're walking for an hour, and then you're sort of like, I'm going to try the Senior Olympics out. So tell us how'd you do that?
Well, actually, I started my exercise routine with Chris Moore, as I said. And we did that for about 6 months. And then I decided I was ready for more of a challenge and decided to join the gym. Well, just happened that Chris was also a trainer at the Lee District gym, rec center. And she suggested I should join it. And she would train me there. And she got me on machines and taught me how to do circuits and how to adjust the machines. And after training with Chris, I decided to go even further, and I looked for a trainer to help me continue to build my body. And I ran into a guy who was ex-CIA, ex-Marine pilot, and he was a trainer. And I started training with him. And after about a year with him, he suggested, Al, I think you're ready for the Senior Olympics. And of course, I said, nah, I don't think I'm ready for that. He said, yeah, you are. He said, I've got people that are half your age that can't do some of the things I have you doing. I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. So I participated. The first year was 2012. And in 2015, I won my first medal. I won a silver medal for the 5K walk. And I didn't win another medal until 2021. In that year, I won two. I won a bronze for the 800 meter and another silver for the 5K walk. And in a few months, we'll have another competition. It starts September the 9th at Christopher Columbus Community Center, a Saturday morning. I think it's Saturday the 9th at, I believe at 8 a.m., I'm sorry, 8 a.m. And hopefully this year, I might get lucky and get the gold. Who knows?
Well, yeah, there is a little bit of luck involved, but Al, I will tell you that in hearing your story, you're very prepared at everything that you do. And for the folks that are in Northern Virginia, I pulled up the Senior Olympics.
The Olympics, yes.
That Al's going to be participating in, but then also if you're outside of the Northern Virginia area, there is the National Senior Games Association that spotlights all the different state games. And so check that out if you're interested in joining Al and making this part of your exercise and community building program. Let's see. We've got a question for
They,
you.
they won't miss it. They won't regret it. It's quite an experience.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a question for you, Al.
Yes.
Uh, um, did 6 doctors diagnose the pain and back spasms caused by the overexertions shoveling snow too long, and that your back was not strong enough and spine and muscles were weakened and injured? So I guess they just wanted to know a little bit more
Sure.
about your diagnosis.
Sure. At that time, I was exercising on a regular basis in the gym 3 times a week, and I was swimming 3 times a week. So I thought I was in pretty good condition for a 6 to 8 year old. I think I might have overdone it, but the doctors that I saw, my primary care doctor, chiropractor, a bone specialist, various kinds of muscle specialists. The last doctor, the one who I asked about taking the training with Chris, was a physiatrist. I'd never heard of a physiatrist. A physiatrist is a doctor that specializes in muscle tissue, ligaments, bone, and their primary, my understanding is their primary patients are babies and athletes. And no one could limit or diagnose the cause of the problem. We tried different muscle relaxants. We tried different things, and only exercise brought me through that. It was a mystery to us all.
Wow. Okay, great. And then the and I drop in a link in about physiatry there, but the and the physiatrist, was that through the Kaiser Permanente Health?
Yes, it was, and
Okay.
he too was an amateur athlete. So we
Oh,
had a lot in common, and it was puzzling to him that he couldn't figure it out.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, we've got that. Now what I want to talk about, and
Yes.
you brought it up a little bit, is that you're living in this 3-story townhouse.
Yes.
You realize that no matter how fit you are, there's still this chance that you might need assistance. And you got your blow up couch on the first floor, and that's not necessarily how you want to live a purposeful life.
Yes.
So you started doing some research on
Yes.
where could I make a move to?
Yes.
And how did you go about that? And you're in an active adult community in
Yes,
Fredericksburg,
yes.
Virginia. But
Yes.
did you look at a lot of places? How did you find
I
them?
did. I did.
Okay.
I looked at a lot of places. I looked as far south as Spotsylvania, because Spotsylvania is a well-known seniors community. They have multiple home builders there. I can't think of them by name right now, but Heritage was one of the neighborhoods, and there were like 3 or 4 right together. And I almost bought there, but a friend of mine who had a friend whose dad lived here in our community, Four Seasons, historic Virginia. And he said, Al, you should consider there. They have a lot of the facilities that you like. They have a pool, indoor and out, and they have a gym. And it sounds like it might be your kind of place. So sure enough, I came and I interviewed with people here, and saw the facility and saw the community, and I fell in love with it. And I started to look in it. It took me probably not quite a year, but maybe 9 months to find the right property. I looked at several before I actually put a contract on a house and actually bought it.
Now, you said something there that I want to jump on, is that you said you talk to people. Now, I know when everybody goes to, no matter what community you go to, you got the marketing people that you're talking to.
Yes.
But I have a funny feeling that the people you talked to were people that were living there. Is that correct?
I did both. I talked to the marketing people and compared. Del Webb was one of the communities I looked at down in Spotsylvania. Heritage was one. There was a third, I can't remember. But here, after being referred, I talked to the people at the gym. I talked to the people that I would walk the trails and see on the trails. And of course, I talked to the people at the office. And again, I fell in love with it, and I knew this would be home for me.
And when did you?
I've been here 7 years now, and
Okay, 7 years. Okay.
7 years.
Now, out of curiosity, so you were looking at the active adult community. Did you investigate any life plan communities or communities that have like the assisted living and nursing along with the independent? Did you research any of those as an option?
I did not. I
Okay.
didn't think at that point that that was where I wanted to go.
Mhm.
I wanted to be in a community where there were other people who were active like I am, and I thought would help motivate me and remind me I need to be out there.
Awesome.
It
Okay.
was a good choice.
Yeah. Okay, good. And you love it there. Okay.
I
So
did.
so then now just something that we talk an awful lot about is moving and downsizing.
Yes.
Was I mean, you lived in a townhouse, and I know some of the homes in these active adult communities can be pretty large, but did
Yes.
you have much downsizing, and what was that process like for you?
Surprisingly, it was. I didn't downsize actually.
Okay.
Actually, I think the home I'm in now may be a little larger than the home I was in, the townhouse, but it's a different style home. It has a master suite on the first level. I'm a book person, and I had hundreds of books. I gave away hundreds of books in my transition, but I also kept hundreds. And so I needed a space for my books. I love music. I also had music to bring with me. So I had things that I enjoy. And to keep my lifestyle, I need a space that would support that.
I love it. Okay. So now, man, what a great story, and you're a real inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for saying this, Steve.
And I think, well, there's a couple of things is that one of the reasons that you agreed to do this is that you really want to help other people and let them know that, no matter how bad it is, that you don't
Yes.
need to give up. And
No.
like, I think you sort of, well, you had a team of people
I
that
did.
got you going, but
Let's talk about that move.
Yeah.
I think if it were not for Alice and Lisa, I may still be in Springfield in Kingstown, because I couldn't pack and make that transition by myself. They were there for me. We brought in other people. I hired other people to do packing, but the coordination and managing that process was primarily Alice and Lisa. Primarily Alice. She's been a great support person for me, and we're a family.
I love it. And this is another topic that's very popular on our platform, is talking about solo aging. And
Yes.
like, Al, I mean, you, like, most people wouldn't look at you as a solo ager. Yeah, you've got kids, but your kids are all over
the country.
nation. And what I love is what I've been calling lately is it's building your personal village. And
Yes.
like Alice and Lisa are
Yeah.
important parts of your personal village, and they've helped you and you've helped them.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you something. Living
Yes.
in a community like Four Seasons, historic Virginia, have you made some friendships there? And do you feel like there's a supportive community environment there in that community?
Very much so, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think my neighbors, the ones that I've met and enjoyed their company, feel like the way I do. They embrace when someone new comes into the community. We all embrace them. We offer help for them. Anything we can do to help them make the adaptation, being in a new area that they may not be familiar with. One of my neighbors, directly across the street from me, recently moved here a couple of years ago from California. San Diego, to be actually. He owned a couple of restaurants there, and he moved here because I think his mother-in-law was ill, and I knew that he was kind of a fish out of water, that he didn't know the East Coast. So I befriended him and told him of different events and things that I knew were taking place related to restaurant owning and food and that sort of thing, and it worked well for him. And
Awesome.
we're best of neighbors, best of friends.
Man, I love it. All right. So now we got the Senior Olympics coming up in less than a month,
September,
basically. A little over a month.
9th.
Okay.
September 9th.
And so what events are you going for this year? What are the
This year, I plan to do the 60-meter dash. That's a jog, that's a run. The 800-meter walk, the 5K walk, and rowing.
Rowing, the indoor rowing machine.
Indoor row, yes.
Okay,
yes.
great.
In the past, I've had a pretty good time. This year, we'll see. Incidentally, in 2021, the year that I won the 2 medals, in the 5K race, the gentleman that finished 2.5 minutes behind me was 92.
Oh, wow.
And I knew that because Alice was seated beside his son, who was filming this. And she said, he almost had you. I said, who? That guy right there, she says. He's 92. I said, how do you know that? She said, because his son records this and he told me. So I wasn't still sure, but he had the same color band I had. And that kind of confused me. So I asked one of the staff members, is that gentleman 92? He said, yeah, he is. I said, well, why is he still wearing the same color band I'm wearing? He said, we didn't go any further than 85.
Man, well, this is great. Now,
it's an event to see.
Yeah. How old are you right now?
I'm 81. I'll be 82 in October.
Okay, excellent.
So I'm in the 80 to 84 range for this year's race.
Okay, great. And then it's okay. You want to help other people through their challenges and
yes
and coaching. So it's okay if I share your email address with
absolutely
them?
Yes.
Okay, so folks, I'm putting Al's email address into chat there, and feel free to reach out to him or share it with somebody that you think might be useful to tap into to Al's knowledge and inspiration. And man, this is
Steve, I have a website that's being developed.
okay.
Hopefully in a day now, soon it will be up and published. And when it is, I'll make sure that you know it and you can share it with your audience.
I'll put that on the recording link, so which will be up later this afternoon. Well, Al, this has been awesome.
Thank you.
Is there anything that we have not touched on that you wanted to share with us today?
There is one thing I would like to say.
Okay.
Because people see me today and they know about my having won a few medals, and I've been interviewed on TV and on WETA, PBS, as you well know. That's where Al is today. But what I'd like to emphasize is where I started, that the minimalism of starting with walking 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 or whatever you can do, start where you are. You got to start somewhere. Start where you are, and every 2 weeks, add a little bit more.
I love it. And I'm going to make sure to share the WETA recording. You also had an article, I think, in the Prince William Times that I did sure to share. And I'm really motivated to follow the Northern Virginia Senior Olympics this year. It's well, regardless, you always have an open door to come here and chat with us. But I tell you what, if we get the gold this year,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Come back and show that off at the beginning of one of our discussions.
I will, and I'm sure I'll have some interesting tales to tell, because there always are at these events. There's 76 events, incidentally, Steve.
Oh wow!
It lasts 2 weeks.
Man,
it's a 2-week event, and there's 76 events planned, and they're not all in the Alexandria, Arlington area. They're all over Prince William County, Alexandria, Arlington, Falls Church, the whole Northern Virginia complex.
I love it. Actually, I knew this was going to happen. Another question came in.
Excellent. Good.
Knee replacement surgery. They
Yes.
say the rehab is painful, long, and difficult. Did what was your sort of take on your knee replacement?
I will have to again introduce Alice and Lisa, because they came here the first 2 weeks and stayed with me. If not, I think the first month, actually, to be honest. It will be 3 years. It was 3 years this past August. This August, it will be 4 years. The most important part of knee replacement that I was told by my doctor is the first 2 weeks. It is critical that you do everything that your healthcare provider, the therapist, and your doctor tell you to do, because that's when scar tissue is formed. And one of the most challenging things was for me is that I was told every 4 to 5 minutes, get up and walk for 3 minutes. I had to do that for the first 2 weeks. Didn't matter. Now, because Alice and Lisa were here, I had a little timer on my watch stand, and that little alarm would go off. And if I didn't move fast enough, I get a look. What are you waiting for? It's 4 to 5 minutes. Time to get up. and as a result, the doctor, when he evaluated me later, there was no scar tissue to speak of, and everything was exactly where he had put it. And I had a family member who had surgery within weeks of me having mine, who was much younger, who had a lot of problems with scar tissue and other things. And I think because being younger, might have thought, okay, I don't need to do as much of this stuff. But the following the doctor's instructions and your healthcare provider's instructions is critical. I can walk for 3 miles. I even jog. The doctor doesn't like me to jog, so I don't do much of that. But I can do the 60K dash. I mean, a 60-meter dash. I'm sorry, the 60-meter dash.
Well, a couple of things, and
yes.
Another question too. But one of the things that I see and hear a lot of is that folks who have, whether it be knee or hip replacement or what have you, oftentimes they're in the hospital and the doctor will say, look, you can go to a nursing and rehab center,
yes,
and get your rehab, or you could go home and get your rehab. And oftentimes what they say is like, look, I know you don't want to go to the nursing and rehab center, but unless you're disciplined and unless you are going to be motivated, be very careful about doing this at home, because because at the rehab centers, they're going to get you up and they're going to tell you. And again, your care team, your is it Lisa and
Lisa and Alice, my adopted family? Yes.
Yeah, Lisa and Alice. They sort of helped you stay
motivated. Just with a look, just with a smile, just with a look.
So
I would like to emphasize what you just said, Steve. You're going to be probably at your worst because you're going to be in pain and you're going to be feeling badly. So if you're not self-disciplined, that's when you're going to know it the most. You really need that support of a facility if you know that you're not.
Yeah, it's hard enough to exercise when we're feeling good.
That's correct. That's right.
So, but okay, another question.
Yes, sir.
Was having the knee replacement surgery, was that a hard, difficult decision to make? Because I think, again, like this attendee is sort of, I hear a lot of people that they're nervous about having it and they put it off. But did you sort of go through any of that emotion in terms of?
I did. I think we all do. No one likes going under the knife. And I put it off until my knee began to bend. I believe it was inward. And I knew then it wasn't going to get any better by itself. I think we go as long as we can. We either go because of the pain or we see the worsening of the condition, but there's a trigger that make us know the time is now. And fortunately, the doctor said, yes, I can correct that. And I made the decision to go. Surprisingly, it's a slow healing process, it's very deliberate. And that I mean that the difference between what I could do the first day of surgery, incidentally, they started physical therapy the first day. The only reason they didn't get me on the steps the first day is because the therapist that did that wasn't there. But the next day after breakfast, he was, and I was on the steps. But every 2 weeks, I could see a significant improvement. I started walking around the house with a walker every 45 minutes the first 2 weeks. And in maybe 3 to 4 weeks, I was using the walker outside in front of my home. And in another 2 weeks, I was probably walking from my home to the end of the cul-de-sac. In 2 more weeks, I was walking from my home from the corner to the end of the cul-de-sac. I was measuring things in that 2-week interval, and I saw a constant progression of improvement. You began to heal well, and you're glad that you did it. I participated in the Northern Virginia Senior Olympics in 2021. I had the surgery in 2018. You're not considered healed for 3 years, but I did the competition after 2 years. The doctor said everything is where I put it, and you can compete as long as you don't do anything stupid.
And you know, Al, you keep on throwing out these nuggets that I regularly have conversations with individuals and families, but that's using a walker, okay?
Yes.
Like, none of us want to use a walker.
Yes.
None of us want any of this stuff, but how did you, like, but you're in your neighborhood using your walker in front of all these folks.
Yes, that's
I
correct.
know a lot of folks who would never, they don't want to be seen using their walker, and it scares the family. It scares me because they could have a fall and it could be worse. But how did you get over the stigma of using a walker as part of your rehab?
Well, you know, I didn't think about it as a stigma. I only thought about how soon will I be able to walk without the walker?
Yeah.
How soon will I be able to graduate to a cane?
Mm-hmm.
And I started after surgery with the things under your arms. What do you call them? You know, I can't think of the name now. But then I graduated to the walker. I actually wore the pads on my walker out and had to get them replaced.
I love it.
After 2 weeks. So I was moving at a pretty good clip. And my neighbors kind of enjoyed seeing that. I think they were kind of entertained and motivated by it. But the walker can be your best friend. It doesn't have to be a handicap. You don't have, you go as fast as you can comfortably go. Use it as a tool. Don't think of it as a stigma.
Yeah. And again, folks, I mean, I love this because a lot of this is, it's really easy to look at these left hooks that life throws us as, oh, geez, and, you know, as decline, or, you know, I can't believe that this is happening. But, you know, Al, you said a few things is that walker was a piece of exercise equipment for you that is going to get you to the next level. And
exactly, it was a step for me to get to the next level, as the cane was, and on to do what you want to do. Look toward the future, not where you are, where you want to be. Yeah.
So we've got somebody, you've got somebody in your fan club here. She's sort of like bone on bone, no cushion, no natural cushion remaining in the knees. That's so much pain. And knee surgery doctor says you're not completely healed for 3 long years. I didn't know that. And she brings up the term acquired disability. And I think it's something that we all need to remember is that none of us have a crystal ball. And Al, you were, you know, in your 60s, or you were in your 60s when this happened. But as you said, people have these things that happen to them when they're younger and when they're older. It has nothing to do with age, but it's sort of looking at the world through a positive set of glasses and set some goals. The thing that I like about what you've told us is, whether it be getting back in the swimming pool, or getting healthy, or with your
Walking again.
walker in the neighborhood, you can set up your goals so that you get these small victories
Yes.
that keep you going. And
small incremental changes is what will make you stronger and healthier and fit again. You start where you are and you build on that.
Man, I love it. All right, folks. Well, I'll get this recording up shortly.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll get Al's contact info, and can't wait to hear your results at Senior Olympics. And you know what? I mean, and I think you've got this attitude. I know you want a gold medal, and I want to see you get one. But
yes,
the real victory is you couldn't really walk, you know, and now you're all charged up and excited about
absolutely.
The Senior Olympics, and you're putting yourself out there to help other folks. That's a gold medal in my book.
And Steve, the day after the Senior Olympics, my events, I'll be focusing on next year. I'll get out and start training again, focusing on next year. And things like we talked about, the walker, the crutches, the cane, I consider them barnacles of life. They just come with the territory. They're not there as barriers to prevent me from reaching my goals. I just got to figure out how to get around.
Yep. And actually, it wouldn't surprise me if there is somebody competing in some of the Senior Olympic events and utilizing a cane or a walker.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're still crossing the finish line, you know?
That's right. As long as you get where you want to go.
Yeah, I love it. All right. We'll see y'all.
It's a joy to be with you, sir.
You
and
too.
I look forward to the next time.